Hello, and welcome to not just another white woman's podcast, The Beauty of Transformation. This is our podcast interviewing interesting women of all cultures and backgrounds from all over the world who share their insights about their transformations and challenges in their lives. These women have deep wisdom about life's challenges and joys and how they got to where they are today. Breaking down the patriarchy, this podcast also delves into topics that build us up as women and those who identify as women. And I am going to introduce our guest today. Do you like to be called Joe or Joanne? What would you prefer being called?
Joe, most people call me Joe.
Most people call you Joe. Okay, so
Yeah.
uh, Joe Pearl is here with us today. She helps leaders and organizations make sense of complex challenges, whether they're about people, process, strategy, or change. With over 2 decades of experience, she offers grounded practical support to navigate uncertainty, drive transformation, or figure out what's happening. Significant changes can feel overwhelming, so her approach is personal and flexible. Perfect. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so glad you're here. And I would love for you to start by telling us where you are currently at right now.
Sure. It's so nice to be here, Amy, with you. And I am currently in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Wonderful. Now, is that where you grew up or?
It is actually, it's kind of interesting because I live so Johannesburg is quite a big city, and
Hmm.
I live in a part of the city that's very close to where I grew up. So I grew up quite close to where I stay now, and I traveled a bit and did a whole lot of things and then ended up back here.
Nice, nice. And you and I met through my husband, actually, because you're
Yes.
all in a group together. Would you like to share a little bit about what the Satir group is about?
Yes, certainly. So Marcus and I are in a legacy cohort, learning more about the work of the wonderful family therapist Virginia Satir. And part of what we're busy doing is using her work in leadership contexts. So how do we bring the work of families, and how do we bring the work of connecting and um, communicating well with each other into business and leadership contexts? And it's very, very exciting.
That's great. That's great. So
Mhm.
is that newer to you, bringing that perspective into your own work?
So actually not so new. I first heard about Virginia's work in 2012. And so since then, I've been weaving the bits that I knew into the work that I was already doing. And then in 2019, I wanted to deepen my knowledge. And so I learned a whole lot more. And then in 2020, I learned a whole lot more. And it just keeps it keeps going. And I find that it's one of those things that when you learn, it's like some models are straightforward and you can kind of consume them and spit them out quite
Hmm.
easily. Whereas some models are wonderfully nuanced and have so many different contextual applications that the more you learn, the more you understand them, the more applications you can apply them in, the more spaces you can see that will fit for something like that. So this is one of those. The more I learn, the more I'm like, oh wow, there's more to this that I didn't see.
That's great, though. I mean, I find that interesting because, like you said, some models are just more simple. You learn them quickly, but it's kind of exciting to like see changes as you use it. Yeah,
Mm.
that's great.
And I think a lot of those changes are very personal changes as well. So using the model is an invitation to grow yourself as well, I think, and learning more about the model is an invitation to grow yourself.
That's great. So it affects your own journey too, your own personal
Mm.
journey. Yeah, that's
Mm.
great. So, you do all these wonderful things that I read in your brief bio. Um, can you tell us what brought you there? Like, what was your journey to get there to where you are today?
Mm, sure. Yeah, it was a very um strange and circuitous journey, I think. It
Yeah.
was definitely was definitely not planned. I think I didn't really always been creative, but didn't really know what I wanted to do when I left school. I had some ideas, but they didn't work out in the beginning. And so I ended up studying photography
Mm-hmm.
and then realized that actually my visual uh, I'm creative, but my visual creative. I'm not really not great visually, So I have these creative things, but I needed my visual vocabulary needed a lot more training if I was ever going to be really good at photography. And I wasn't one of those with that innate talent that some people just have, they can
Mm-hmm.
just work with things. So then I realized, oh dear, okay, now what am I going to do? And I went and did some traveling. So I went to the UK back in the at that time. South Africans could do a 2-year working holiday visa in the UK, where you could go and live and work for 2 years in the United Kingdom, and that was really really cool. So I went there, and I worked in pubs, and I worked with horses. I worked as a polo groom, the
Oh,
sport
yeah.
polo.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I met Prince Harry a few times.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, it was all very very interesting, and I had a lot of fun. And then I traveled around Europe on my way back home. And then I came home and I needed to figure out what I was going to do. So I still didn't know what I was going to do. So I decided that I needed to go back to studying. And so I started studying a bachelor's in computer programming,
Okay.
bachelor's of science in computer programming. And as I started studying that, I ended up getting a job in a company that made human resources and payroll software,
Mm-hmm.
and was quite revolutionary for its time because it was in the early 2000s, and it was one of the very first web-enabled software, which was kind of revolutionary at the time. Because
Yeah,
before
I
that, you had
bet.
to have applications on each person who was going to use the software had to have a separate application on their computer, on their computer hard
Right.
drive. And this
Right.
was one of the first where you could kind of put things on servers and do things across. So yeah, so I ended up there, and that was an 8-year long, very interesting journey. The company was small. I learned a lot. I did a lot of different things there. I was, in a small organization. You're you're working with clients and you're training people. And I grew up. I mentored and managed younger people. I did training for customers. I configured the system. I wrote payroll rules. I balanced payrolls. I did tax. I like
Wow.
you name it. Did a lot of
Yeah.
technical work there, which was very exciting. And I also got to travel a bit, which was fun. So we traveled up into Africa a little bit, and also to Luxembourg. We were partnering with Deloitte for a little bit in Luxembourg, which was fun. And yeah, and that was a really, really cool journey. I never finished my degree because work got too busy and it was just too hard to study and work at the same time.
Yes. Yes, I get that.
Um,
Yes.
yeah. So then then I moved, I left from there and I worked for a digital broadcast company,
Okay.
doing as a business analyst. Yeah. So it was while I was there while I was at the payroll company where I first got my introduction to agile ways of working and Scrum. And so I started working with that because I fell in love with it as a process and as a way of work. It's humanistic way of thinking. It's simple but elegant way of organizing things and creating feedback, and just very intuitive way of doing things. And so I learned a lot about that. And so when I moved to a digital broadcast company, I took a lot of that with me and wanted to learn more. And I was at the digital broadcast company for a couple of years. That was in 2011, and I managed to get my boss to send me to this conference in Albuquerque, New Mexico, called the
Okay.
Amplify Your Effectiveness Conference. And it was the last one they were ever going to have. And Jerry Weinberg was there, and Esther Derby,
Oh,
and Don
yes.
Gray, and Johanna Rothman. and it just the whole thing just blew my mind. And that was when I first really heard about Virginia's work as well.
Okay,
And
I think that's where Marcus heard about it
yeah,
too, because he knew Joanna Rothman
yes.
And Jerry Weinberg too. Yes, yes, yes,
So yeah, so it was just amazing.
yeah.
Mm.
They sound like they were
And so
pretty remarkable people to connect with.
oh, very much so, very much so. Um, and still are. They're just so I still am lucky enough to have stayed connected with Don and Esther, more so than Johanna, but also Johanna a little bit. And they are still just magic, magic people. I learned so much from them and continue to learn so much from them all the time. And
And
then
Jerry passed away a few years ago, correct?
yes, yes, I think it's
Yes.
nearly 10 now, more than that actually. It's
Oh,
hard
is
to
it?
tell with
Oh,
co
okay.
with COVID.
I know, I
With
can't keep track.
with
I know, keep track of it.
yeah.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, I think it's probably
Been a while, yeah.
maybe yeah, maybe not quite 10, but yeah,
Hmm.
somewhere
Yeah,
around there.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so and I got to go the next year. I went to PSL, which is the other thing that Jerry and Esther and Johanna did together, problem solving leadership, and I learned
Hmm.
more wonderful things. And when I came back from that, actually, there was an agile consulting organization in South Africa called Scrum Sense, and they took me out for dinner and said, would I come and work with them? And I was very excited.
Yeah,
And so I said, okay, I need 6 months because I had just come back and the digital company had really paid for my trip and everything, and I didn't want to
right.
just
Oh,
leave
for
without,
sure. Yes. Like,
yeah.
thanks, bye. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I said, listen, I need 6 months. Do you have 6 months? And they said, yeah, oh, no, we can wait 6 months for you. So I said, okay, excellent. I'll join you in February. And yeah, and so I, I carried on working, setting up some of the agile processes, doing some training, um, hiring some new coaches, making sure that um, the legacy of their whatever they needed was set up well. And then I moved to this other organization, and that was quite also a very interesting journey. I was there for a little while, and then the owner of that company was looking to retire, and so he sold a portion of it to a German company. So we kind of did a little bit of a merger, and we
Hmm.
became Agile 42, part of a German company, and we did a lot of really cool things there. I was mostly Agile coach and trainer. I got my certified Scrum trainer certifications. I could train people, did all of that kind of thing. And then he wanted to retire, and so I was going to buy his shares. And so we were busy negotiating what did that look like, and
Hmm.
I was going to buy his shares, and what could the share contracting look like. And that was in January 2020.
Oh,
Mm,
yes.
mm. And so I had taken over the company as the director of the South African company, and he had kind of stepped away because he wanted to retire, and we were just finalizing the share deal. That was it. And then COVID
Mm.
hit, and so I was in charge. I was in charge of this company, with 8 people working for me. Yeah, in
And
COVID.
COVID.
And that was, yes, yes. And we
Wow.
were a training business and a coaching business, and most of what we did was in person, and it was a
Uh,
very,
so
very
how did you
interesting.
navigate all that?
Oh, it was very hard.
Hmm.
I remember in the early days I was making and unmaking decisions. I had 2 people in Mauritius. I had one person in Germany, and her partner was in South Africa and also worked for me. And he wanted to go visit her in Germany and was trying to get a flight to go to her. And then nobody was allowed out. And then I was trying to figure out how to get everybody back in the country. But at that stage, there was no COVID yet in Mauritius. So I was like, oh, I don't know if you ladies want to stay, because our only client was in Mauritius, and that was the only
Mm.
revenue we had coming in. And
Right.
so we're trying to like figure out how do we protect the revenue that we've got coming in and still protect the people so that they don't get
Yes.
sick and still.
Oh,
So yeah, it was, and then flip our training business so we could start training online. And I
yes.
was the big trainer. So yeah, so it was hard. It was very hard. And then the German business, it wasn't always easy to work with them. And so yeah, so after at the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021, I'm trying to remember, it doesn't really matter, somewhere around there, I realized I couldn't stay anymore. And so I
Mm-hmm.
left. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I left and I started my own thing. Yeah. And I've been doing my own
Nice.
thing since then. Yeah.
So since
So
21, you've been
that's,
doing your
yes,
own
yes, yes. I
thing.
think it's 2021 officially that I've been doing my own thing. And I worked for another German company as a full-time coach for them while I kind of set myself up and got on my feet and all of that kind of thing. And then I transitioned a little bit to part-time so that I could invest more in growing my business and still have a regular income stream coming in. And yeah, and that worked out quite well for quite a while. Um, but I think the agile market changed, and so I also needed to learn how to change what I did and become
Mm-hmm.
less about agile and processes and more about just the skills that I have are so transferable. So how do you market yourself in a new ways? And I guess I'm
Yes.
somewhere in the middle of figuring that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think in the middle of all of that, I found the Satir Legacy program, and I think that that's been helping me to start to figure out what does my new journey look like.
Yes. Yes.
Mm, yeah,
Wow,
that was a
that is
lot.
quite a journey. Well, I mean, I think I appreciate you sharing it. So you really had quite a journey, getting to where you are with lots of skill building and meeting some really interesting professionals along the way and people. And yeah, and
Mm.
so what is it specifically that got you to take the leap into entrepreneurship to just really go out on your own?
Mm. That's a very great question. I think I've always wanted that, to be
Hmm.
honest. I've never been really good in organizations. So the first organization I worked in really worked for me because literally there were like 20 of us, and I was part of the first 5 or 10 people. And so we kind of built and ran that business together
Hmm.
in a lot of ways. And so there was a lot of autonomy and freedom.
Yes.
And then when I moved to the digital broadcast company, and there were all these conditions about what I could and couldn't do with my laptop, and I had to have an access card and do a performance review, and then I was like, oh no, this isn't for me. So I knew I wasn't going to last very long there. Um, yeah, so I've just always wanted it, and
Yeah.
I think I was. I wasn't, I was scared, to go out on my own previously because I don't think I was ready for it anyway. But surviving COVID the way we did
Hmm.
and just knowing that I could do it because I had done it already. I had
Right.
run
Right. You
that
had already, yes.
business.
Yeah.
I'd run that business in the toughest
Hmm.
possible circumstances that were out there, and we had survived. And so yeah, so then I thought like anything else is going to be easier than that.
Right. Well,
And
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 that
so
hard
yeah.
situation
Oh,
probably built your confidence a little bit, right? Because you're like, okay, well, if I can do that, maybe I can go out on my own. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And so yeah, so then then I was ready.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know that so the business that you have now, can you tell us just a little bit more about like what are you doing like right now with your business? I know you mentioned a little bit
Mm.
about the satire leadership work, but what else do you have going on?
Yeah, that's a great question. So working with a client that I've worked with for probably over a decade now. I've been there in just in different aspects, helping them in different ways,
Hmm.
um, and different parts of the organization actually. And right now, I'm just helping them to do a few things. So they're trying to change how they're working together. So like their way of work, I guess they've done some reorganized a little bit how their teams are structured and how their teams deliver. And now they're trying to embed, okay, cool. So we've got these new teams, and now those new teams need to figure out how they can effectively, what's like a good pattern for how we can deliver on our work. So I'm working with them on that. Previously, I've trained their product owners so that their product owners knew how to support those teams. And now I'm doing more of the kind of on the ground, helping the team get going in a way that makes sense for them. Yeah.
Nice. So most of your
Yeah.
work is working with larger organizations or small ones, maybe too, organizations where you
Mm.
kind of help them through changes or whatever their needs are related to organizational things.
Exactly, exactly. I think what I'm busy figuring out is what actually is what is the thing that I do best that no one else can do, and how do I do more of that? So
Yeah.
part of that, I think, is the satire leadership development.
Hmm.
I recently ran another leadership development cohort with another ex-colleague of mine. We were we called ourselves co-opetition because we were competitors, but
Oh yeah, I like
also
that. Yeah.
collaborators, so we
Yes.
would we would collaborate even though we would also sometimes compete in the market. And so we're
Hmm.
still kind of in that space, but we're working more together to figure out where to from here. And leadership development is something that we're both very much interested in. And specifically, how do we help people develop vertically, which is about most leadership development programs are really about giving people skills, so it's about kind of downloading skills. Whereas vertical development is focusing on, instead of filling up, if you have a bucket, instead of filling up the bucket with stuff, you want to make the bucket bigger.
Mm.
So vertical development is about increasing the capacity of people, and specifically to deal with things like paradox and uncertainty and ambiguity
Hmm.
and complexity, those kinds of things. Yeah, so we're both very passionate about that because we think that's what the world needs more of.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
Agreed. And that
Mm.
importance of
So
like communication too, right? In these organizations, like I feel like that's a big,
huge, huge, huge,
yeah,
huge, huge.
big
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah.
It sounds
So
like, oh, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say you've caught me like right in the middle of the transition, I guess.
Oh, that's okay. That's perfect because I think that helps, our listeners, right? If they're going through kind of a
Mm.
transition in their lives with their business or whatever it might be, kind of helps others to hear what someone else is going through. And one of the things that I heard you talk about too is it sounds like as a entrepreneur, and someone who's has your own business, especially when you're selling like a service, right? That
Mm.
it's something to remember that sometimes you need to reinvent yourself, right? In those situations. Like you said, you're kind of making changes, trying to find out exactly, kind of what your niche is maybe. Um,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And do you feel like you've kind of reinvented yourself all the way, even before maybe you started your business, just kind of along the way?
Mhm.
Yeah, as you've learned new skills and
Mm. It's true, actually. I think you just reminded me that in the past, those reinventions came easily because they came easily because I flowed into them, you know.
yeah, yeah,
Instead of trying to force the thing, it was
right.
just here's the opportunity and here's, where I need to go. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the me that knows how to do that.
Yes, yes. Yes, sometimes I feel like, for me anyway, I feel like sometimes, in the past, I would say, I'm not as much like this now, but in the past, when I was younger, sometimes like doing those new things weren't as scary. And yeah,
Mm.
and then as I got older, I was like, ooh, ooh. Now I feel like I'm a little more open, open to that. But definitely, I think there's times in our lives that we're like, ooh, this seems scary trying this new thing. It's still a little scary, but it's kind of fun too.
Hmm.
Yes, yes.
It
Yeah.
is.
Now, so you are busy, right? Would you say you have a very busy schedule with everything that you do?
I do. I do. I have a
Yeah.
busy schedule.
So
I'm trying to change that, but yes.
yes, yes, yes. So how does your balance with the rest of your life, like your personal life, work in being an
That's a
entrepreneur?
very, very good question. So I ended up um, having early menopause in when I was 38, I think. So it decided to just when I was 38, and I think it felt like the universe's way of telling me to slow down because I was just like
Mm, hmm.
doing all the things all the time. And so I had to learn, I had to actually reinvent my whole life because I was just nowhere. I couldn't remember stuff. I couldn't think properly. I was wanting to kill everybody. And it took me, and actually, because I was 38 and doctors don't believe that that's what's happening for you
Hmm.
at 38, it took
Hmm.
me 2 years to figure out what was going on as well and to get like real support. So during those 2 years, I had to learn how to really start taking care of myself.
Hmm.
I had to slow down. I had to exercise regularly. I had to eat differently. I had to sleep properly.
Hmm.
I had to all of these small little things that changed for
Yeah.
me over that period of time, and all of them helped me to become a better person and also to learn how to focus on balance and learn how to focus on setting boundaries and learn how to focus on taking care of myself as well
Hmm.
so that I could be available to other people. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes the universe just gives you,
Yes.
uh, shouts at you. Well, first she whispers and then she starts shouting and then she starts
Yes.
screaming and then
Yes.
she throws a tantrum like a 2-year-old. And if you don't listen then that's
Yes.
your own
Well, and I feel
fault.
like our bodies do. Actually, the more recent podcast interview I just did,
Mm,
the nurse that I interviewed talked a lot about how our bodies really let us know
mm.
when we need to slow down. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It
And
might
I
even
think
be
my
something
body
as
had been
simple as like,
trying to.
go ahead, go ahead.
No, no, you go first.
I was just gonna say it. Sometimes it's as simple as something as like our hips just hurting, right, or our
Mm,
shoulders being more tense,
exactly.
or yeah.
Exactly. And I think what I'm really learning up now, so this is a lesson that I keep learning, but what I'm really learning now is that like in order that I really need to stay present with myself
Mm,
and really stay present and connected with myself so that I can tune into those little signals because it is your body telling you these things. And my body had been
yes.
telling me for years. My body had been telling me in many, many ways, trying to tell me to breathe, to slow down, to take a breath, to look after myself, to set a boundary, to whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just takes
So,
lots of that, though, right? For us to really recognize it. Yes. It's like the universe and your body are going,
uh,
"Hey, listen to me." Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And then more recently, I wasn't listening again. And so I drove into the back of somebody.
Yeah.
And that was my latest whispering of just slow down.
Yes. Yes. And I think the funny thing is for me anyway, like I feel like when we finally do accept that, right? Accept that the fact that we need to slow down, it's kind of
Mm.
freeing in a way too.
It
Yeah.
is. And you know what I'm actually discovering? I'm discovering that if I really do it well, then actually it feels life feels more expansive. It feels like there's more
Yes.
space.
Yes. Right.
Instead of feeling, and I guess, I mean, maybe that's just the perception because when you're rushing, you're just rushing and you're rushing and rushing and rushing, and you always feel like you don't have enough time for everything. But when you
Yeah.
just decide to, you know, it just feels more expansive. So this is what I'm, this is my newest
Yes.
incarnation of Joe.
Yes. Right. Instead of maybe like, we get to a place where we've been running by a sunset and not even noticing it. And maybe we actually stop and enjoy it and let our heart feel that. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So I start my days taking the dogs for a walk every day, and
Nice.
yeah, and then doing some exercise. So either
Mm-hmm.
the dog walk is the exercise, or I'll do something a little bit after that, or combine things. But yeah, and try to do it in nature. This morning I went to the park, which is lovely.
Mm.
Otherwise, where I live, there's a nice strip, which is just great, and I'll go and listen to the birds and take the dogs for a walk and look at the flowers, and
Nice.
oh,
I love that.
that's very cool. Mm.
Now, I do know a little something about you about like African safari stuff.
Mm.
Yes, do you want
Mm.
to share a little bit about that?
Well, one of my favorite places is being in the bush, in the Kruger National Park, and in the bush in general. And yeah, so I want to part of what I'm trying to do is figure out how do I take the work that I love and combine it with being there. So yeah, so
Mm.
next year I'm trying to well, next year I'm organizing a retreat that does that combination of
Oh,
personal
really?
development work and safari. Yeah.
I love
So,
that.
mm, because I think that
Wonderful.
personal development work requires, so nature is healing, right? There's just so
Absolutely.
nature is incredibly healing, and I
Hmm.
think that that's part of why I love being in nature so much, and I love the bush so much, is that it's just there's so much. There's so many fascinating things to learn from
It's
and to see and to
expansive and
look at.
beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, everything from the insects all the way through to the little mice to whatever.
Hmm.
And so so there's this healing element that is already exists and you're surrounded by it. And then there's this one place in the Kruger National Park that's got no signal. So there's nothing to disturb you. And
Yes.
so you can
Goodbye,
really
digital.
just exactly. And so you
Yes.
can, and it's terrifying. The first day is like, oh, anxiety provoking and terrifying.
Oh, I
And
bet. Yeah.
then all of a sudden it's so freeing because now your phone is just a camera, you
Right.
know, that's all you can do with it.
That's
Like just
great.
take photos,
That sounds
right?
lovely.
It
Yes.
is like most of
Yeah.
the games don't work. That you can't phone people, you can't look at your email, you can't be
Right.
stressed about anything. So you just
Yes.
you just take photos, and it
It's
is
really
so
unplugging. It's
beautiful.
truly unplugging. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that I mean, I think for some people that might terrify them, but for me, that's just
Yeah.
2 days of that is just so amazing. And I
That
think,
sounds great.
combining that with personal work gives people the opportunity to
Hmm.
actually focus on themselves, actually connect in with themselves, actually, be present with themselves. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's great. I love that idea. That sounds wonderful to be in nature like that. And yeah. And then also do some personal work. That's really great. And would you use kind of a satir model for that, you think? Hmm.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
definitely. So there would be a lot of using Virginia's work. So I'm calling it Peace Within because she talks
Hmm.
about Jean talks about awareness, acceptance, and authorship as the first three stages of a change process. But those first three phases she also refers to as peace within. And I think that's so beautiful. And so
It
to
is.
find authorship of your life is a beautiful thing.
Yes, it really is. Well, that sounds lovely. I hope I see that working out and that being part of your work. That's lovely. What a wonderful way to combine the things that you do. You
Thank
know,
you, Amy.
combine what you love, right? What you love
Mm.
with your professional world. That's wonderful. Yeah. Well,
Thank you.
thank you
Oh.
so much for doing this. The one last thing I would like to ask you is, do you have a piece of advice that you would like to share with other women out there that are either um, thinking about getting started in their own business or maybe in a place in their business where they're struggling and frustrated? Any kind of piece of advice just that sticks out for you that might be helpful?
Mm. Um, yeah, I think sometimes thinking about doing something different is so scary because sometimes the unknown is much scarier than what we where we are already. And so sometimes we end up staying in places that actually don't serve us
Hmm.
because we're just so scared to take
Yeah.
a step into that unknown, take that step into that unknown. Um, but I think the women out there are probably they're more courageous than they know.
Hmm. Yeah.
And um, and sometimes, once you've taken that first step, then the next one becomes you can start to see it.
Yeah.
But it's just so hard to take that first one. So we end up sticking around somewhere where we're unhappy and
Hmm.
that doesn't fit for us and all of those things because it's just. So
Yeah.
I would say, you're more courageous than you think. You're very courageous already. Just take that first step. My friend Sonia Blankenship, who is going to probably do the retreat with me, she's got this framework called ways finding that speaks exactly to that. It's like thinking about allowing ourselves to be present to ourselves and to what's going on around us can help us to see the way as we go. And so, yeah, so taking that first step, you'll see the next one, and you'll see the next one, and you'll see the next one.
That's
So
great.
take
Thank you
that
so
first
much.
step.
Yeah. 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 Taking that first step, it can be hard, but remaining stagnant doesn't get us too far, does it? Yeah. Thank you for
No.
sharing
And
that. I
you'll,
think that's important. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, I think when we stay stagnant, our body starts to let us know eventually as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's
Well,
an ant.
that's okay. Well, Joe, thank you so much. I think this is really wonderful and can be helpful to many people. It was wonderful to hear about your journey to where you are now and how you kind of transformed along the way and reinvented yourself. And I will definitely we'll chat after this about maybe getting some links from you that we can share about some things that we talked about with the viewers. So again, thank you so much. I'm honored that you gave me the time to interview you today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really, really amazing to be here. I appreciate the invitation, Amy.
Wonderful. Thank
Think you're
you.
doing amazing work.
Oh, thank you.